Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. I have my It Comes in Pints mug today from Fable Grounds Coffee. I am still a rep for them. I'm actually been the rep for them the whole year of 2023, so I will be a rep through December 2023. So if you're interested in getting a mug, they have great mugs, or any of their coffees. I love all of them. Their flavored or non-flavored coffees are sublime. So if you're interested in getting any of those, you can use my code RENEGADE10 to save 10%. And I don't get any money off of that. I just love them. I got off of work, put on some comfy clothes, and now I'm here to film a video with you guys. So today's video is going to be my October TBR. So the first book I'm planning on reading is going to be A World Without Princes, which is book 2 in the School for Good and Evil series. I read A School for Good and Evil last year, I believe. I think it was last year. Regardless, I read the first one. I really liked it, like a lot more than I thought I was going to for just a middle grade book. Sorry, I'm adjusting the lighting a little bit. It's really gloomy. It's been really gloomy for the last few days, but I'm trying to get the lighting a little bit less harsh. Forgive me. But anyway, I read the first book and I really liked it, way more than I thought I would for the middle grade that it was, but it was just a really fun story. I became a little bit obsessed, watched the movie, really fell in love with it a little bit, but I haven't continued the series, so I don't know what happens. So I really want to get to book 2, and book 2 is also a part of my 23 books to read in 2023 challenge, so I'm hoping to get to that in October. I feel like that's a good vibe for it. Maybe, I don't know. Can't really give you a premise of the second book, but the first book is basically about two best friends that they want to go to these schools for good and evil. One of them is obviously School for Evil, one of them is School for Good. They each think they're going to this school, and then it ends up that they get sent to the opposite schools because of their personalities and morals. And it was a really cute, really fun story. They kind of turn on each other, but it's about friendship in general, and I really liked how all of that went down. It was really interesting and just a really cute idea and just a really fun story with also some gruesome elements. So, looking forward to continuing that series. The next book that I'm hoping to read in October is A Kingdom of Flame and Fury by Whitney Dean. I mentioned this in my video about like a reading update and all that stuff, but I'm replacing J.L. Vampa's book with this book because of some issues. If you want to hear me talk more about those issues, go watch that video. But instead, I'm going to be reading Whitney Dean's book for my 23 in 2023 challenge. This is the first book in the Four Kingdoms series. I will tell you that she is changing the covers right now, and she's got, again, watch that video and go to her Instagram and kind of check out what's going on. But she's got some stuff going down with another author and publishing house. So she is changing the covers and some more stuff's happening, but this is the one that I have that I bought previously. I read the first couple of pages of this. I just picked it up randomly and read the first couple of pages, and I really liked it so far. But you're following Raven, who was mysteriously like the next ruler of this kingdom, and they don't really know why. It's in the realm of the Four Kingdoms, and she was orphaned and has been ruling over this kingdom for 15 years that she feels she didn't earn. And she has dark magic that she's been hiding, and she starts thirsting for blood, and so she's not really sure what to do, and she's trying to fight through the darkness, figure out what's going on, and she starts kind of trying to figure out who she really is, and there's pieces that are of her story that are unraveling, and I think she meets a mysterious man. I think it's gonna be good. I've heard really good things about this, and I love this author now, so excited to support her. At least in the hype, you know? The next book that I'm hoping to read that I'm very excited about, and I was very excited about it for a very long time. I pre-ordered this a while ago, was really intrigued, and I feel like nobody was talking about it, but then Fourth Wing happened, so now everybody's kind of watching this publishing house, and that is Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Maher. This sounds like 100% a type of book I would read. It's also got red sprayed edges, which is fun, and it's a floppy paperback. So, from what I know of it, it is a woman that is an assistant to this villain character, like big bad villain, but it's humorous and romantic, and it just sounds really funny and amazing. It says, assistant wanted. Notorious high-ranking villain seeks loyal, level-headed assistant for unspecified office duties, supporting staff for random mayhem and terror, and other dark things in general. Discretion is a must. Excellent benefits. Like, it just sounds so funny and good. So Evie, the main character, has an ailing family she's trying to support, and so she's seeking out a job and finds this one. And it comes about because of a mishap she has with the notorious villain, and he offers her a job, so she says yes. And she develops a crush on him, which is super cute. And as she kind of gets used to the nefarious things that he's doing, she thinks she's unveiling a plot to take him and this empire out. And she wants to prevent that happening because a good job is hard to find. It just sounds so funny, so lighthearted, and yet serious, and yet great. And it's a villainish romance, I think. I think I'm really gonna love this, and I was very excited when I stumbled upon it. So, that one. We all know I love villains, so. The next one I'm planning on reading is Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This is the sequel to One Dark Window and the ending of this duology. This wraps up the whole story. And I really loved One Dark Window. I know not everyone did, but it was really my vibe. It was very gothic, very dark. The magic system is tarot card based, and it was really interesting how it was done. It's pretty unique and really cool. So I've really enjoyed it. And I'm desperate to pick up book 2 to find out how the story wraps up with that cliffhanger. Desperate to read that. In the first one, you're following Elspeth, who has, through a accident of childhood, and becoming sick as a child, she developed magic. When you develop magic in this world, you're basically seen as like developing the plague, going mad, something like that, to the point where they will just off you because you're sick. Magic is scary to them, and they don't want anybody to be able to wield magic like that unless you're using these cards, which are tarot cards, which anyone can use. They're rare, but anyone can use them, like, if they have them. So people will try to steal them because they're very valuable, and you like tap it 3 times and you can harness whatever the card's ability is. But Elspeth accidentally touched one and then has a nightmare creature living inside of her head. So he's like sharing her body, essentially. He can, if she calls on him, he can give her abilities like claws to mess people up. But all magic has a cost in this world, and so the more that she calls upon him and uses him and the more he's around, the more she loses herself until she slowly will become potentially no more. So, really interesting system, really interesting story. I loved it. I'm very excited to continue the story and wrap it up, but I'm also really sad for it to be over. But I really need to get to that, and I did get it early on NetGalley for ebook, and it shows you the dedication that I have to finish this book or to read this book, that I have started it, because I am the worst at reading ebooks. Like, I just won't do it. I won't do it. So it's a testament to how much I want to read this book, because I am making myself do it, or trying. Anyway, I can't wait. I'm very excited. And then we have another sequel to a duology that I'm trying to wrap up, Cage of Dreams by Rebecca Schaeffer. This, I believe this is out now. I believe it came out this week. Okay. Cage of Dreams by Rebecca Schaeffer. The first book was City of Nightmares, and I loved that book. It was like one of the first 5 stars of this year for me. Again, really interesting world where it's kind of like 1920s New York. They say it's like Peaky Blinders mixed with Gotham, which I really get. And there's a really dark world. It's very sinister. It's full of nightmares and monsters. In this world, if you dream, you will turn into your worst fear, whatever that is. You will physically turn into it. And it's very hard to obviously not dream. So people either don't sleep, or they take this medicine every night that makes you not dream. But there's obviously things that can happen where this will trigger, or it just happens anyway, and then you have to confront the monsters that somebody else has. Super cool story, really interesting premise, kind of funny, silly, but just really interesting. The main character is also a coward, which I think really plays an interesting role and dynamic in the story. She's kind of uncovering more and more nefarious plots as you go along. And so something pretty big happened at the end of book 1, and I really want to know what happens with this story. So I would love to get to this. Hopefully I can get to it soon. I was trying to get it on like Scribd, because I got the first one on Scribd, but I haven't been able to find it. So hopefully somebody uploads it soon. But I really need to finish that duology because I loved the first one. I'm probably also trying to read too many books. But the next one I would like to get to, if I can, is Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. This is a new series, I think. It's a standalone series situation, I think. It is set in the world of Kingdom of the Wicked, but it is following Envy, which I think is really cool because you get another prince's perspective and I think it's another love story with him. And I think she's doing this kind of series. I'm not sure if they're interconnected, but I think she's focusing on like one of the brothers at a time, one of the princes. And that's fun. I really liked the first 2 books of the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy, and then the third one kind of flopped for me. But this is new and a different story and fresh and about envy. So I'm pretty excited about it. I hope I like it. But I would like to get to this. I don't really know completely what the storyline is, to be honest, because all I needed to know was that it was set in the same world and it follows envy. She's introducing a new female character that I think you like heard her name in the trilogy, but you never saw the character. And she is the love interest with him, and I'm sure there's going to be like some sort of political maneuvering nonsense reason they have to work together, enemies to lovers potentially type of a thing. So I liked Kingdom of the Wicked, the first 2 books anyway. I hope I like Throne of the Fallen. Envy, I think, will be an interesting character to follow. People really liked him in the other trilogy. I liked him, but not as much as Wrath, obviously. But I think he'll be a good character to follow. I think it'll be really interesting. I think he'll draw people in. Yeah, it'll be good. The next one I also know very little about, so I'll actually need to get a little bit of a synopsis for this one. But this has been on my radar. I wanted to read it because it's a new story from this author, Jennifer L. Armentrout. And I've read the first 2 books in the From Blood and Ash series, and I was hooked with the first one. The second one kind of lulled for me, but this is a different story entirely, and so I'm kind of intrigued by it and the premise from what I vaguely remember. I couldn't tell you what it is, but I remember when I read it, I was curious. Anyway, I put a hold on Libby, and it was supposed to be several weeks out, and it came up, and so I was like, okay, maybe I can fit this in for October. So I'm going to try to read Fall of Ruin and Wrath by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is book 1 in the Awakening series. She lives by her intuition, he feeds on her pleasure. Okay. So as long ago, the world was destroyed by gods and only 9 cities were spared, separated by vast wilderness teeming with monsters and imaginable dangers. Each city is now ruled by a guardian, royalty who feed on mortal pleasure. That's bizarre. Born with an intuition that never fails, Callista knows her talents are of great value to the power-hungry of the world. So she lives hidden as a courtesan of the Baron of Archwood. In exchange for his protection, she grants him information. When her intuition leads to her saving a traveling prince in dire trouble, the voice inside her blazes with warning and promise. Today he'll bring her joy. One day he'll be her doom. When the Baron takes an interest in the traveling prince and the prince takes an interest in Callista, she becomes the prince's temporary companion, but the city simmers with rebellion. And with knights and monsters at their city gates and a hungry prince in her bed, intuition may not be enough to keep her safe. Callista must follow her intuition to safety and follow her heart or her downfall. To her downfall. It's a little different than whatever I read of like a tagline. So I'm actually not sure how I feel now, but I'm curious. I'm mostly curious because it's Jennifer L. Armentrout, but it's not From Blood and Ash. So I'm interested to see other things that she writes. We'll see if I like it. Maybe I'll hate it, but I'm gonna try to give it a shot if I can. And then the final book I'm gonna try to read in October will be my shelf pick. There's too many books on this TBR, I already know it, so it's gonna be a struggle. But let's still get a shelf pick. I don't know why I close my eyes. It's not like I can see through that. Anyway. Lies We Sang to the Sea. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't think I'm feeling this. I never do this. I'm gonna pass on it. I'm sorry, everyone. I just can't. Like, I almost got in a reading slump earlier this month, or later this month, whatever. I almost got in a reading slump this month, and I just can't. I can't make myself do it when it's something like that. If it's all interesting to me from the get-go, I will do it, but I couldn't do that one. I'm so sorry. Okay. Okay, I got A Kingdom of Stars and Shadow. Why can't I remember what that book is? Oh, I think it's a Bookish Box Books. Hold on. Okay, it is. I'm more okay with this. So we drew, for the second time, A Kingdom of Stars and Shadows by Holly Renee. I do remember being really interested in this book. I can't remember what it's about. Destiny or desire? Where does your allegiance lie? I am told my union to the crowned prince will determine the fate of my kingdom, but it isn't my betrothed who haunts my dreams. It's the half-breed prince who stands at his side. She likes this man that she cannot have, which makes her a traitor to the kingdom she's sworn to protect. When the kingdom is attacked, she's forced to make choices she's not ready for. And her lies and deception are entangled in the shadows and stars, and as they unravel, so shall her fate. Betray a kingdom or betray her heart. That sounds pretty interesting. I think it'll be fun, at least, right? Even if it's not the best thing I've ever read, I think it'll be fun. Give me a little hope. I'm feeling real weird right now. I'm feeling like I don't really want to read anything from this pick. I'm in a mood reading phase, I think is what's happening, but I will try. We'll see how it'll go. I may, because a lot of these I'm really excited about. I may soon, October, November, something, may end up being a mood reading month for me because I'm getting to the point where I'm getting sick of it. I'm picking up books that I'm not really feeling or that are like really depressing me. And that's not fun. Reading is fun. So we'll see how this month goes. What a weird video. Okay. Well, those are all the books that I'm planning on reading, in theory, for October, unless my mood reading takes over, and I don't. But I'm pretty excited about all of these books. I think it'll be a fun time. I've been in a little bit of a weird mood the last couple of weeks, so hopefully I was looking forward to these. It'll be really fun to read them and give me some of that spark back. I'd love to know what you think of my TBR for October. Yes, no, good, bad. And I would love to know what you're planning on reading in October or what you've currently been reading. As always, thank you so much for watching, but that is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.